one of the success stories of this government. And President Jonathan actually bought these vehicles and gave them to the Federal Road Safety Commission. Now, agriculture. This is my picture standing in front of a palm oil mill at Ikiri Osun, funded through a CBN initiative. All of us are conversant with when our fathers and our mothers used to tread palm oil with their feet. But now this is automated, and it is done through the CBN initiative via President Jonathan's efforts. Okay. This is another farm that I visited in Uromi. And this farm also is through the efforts of President Jonathan. So many farms all over Nigeria. That's my picture. I took these pictures myself. The farm, the cassava plantation. I drove to the cassava plantation for 20 minutes non-stop. I had to say, look, I have to go back. It has the cassava, poultry, piggery, cow, through the efforts of the CBN initiatives. That's the cassava plantation. Now, rice milling. This rice milling facility belongs to my client in Kano. It's a 150,000 metric tons rice milling facility in Kano. And here, rice is actually milled. The bags are made in Bagada, and the trade name of the rice is Shinkafa rice. Ask anybody who is in Kano, they know about Shinkafa rice. You may ask, why don't we see the rice in our local markets here? Because that's one of the questions I expect to hear. It is because the simple law of economics, the law of supply and demand. Rice milling facility, collection centers for the farmers all over Nigeria, Jalingo, Taraba, and so many other places. Agric also. 13 new rice mills in the last 3 years have started in Nigeria. Those are the names of the rice mills. You can verify, you can confirm. One of the success stories of this administration, NMRC, the Nigeria Mortgage Refinance Corporation, established last year $300 million World Bank partnership. And this is going to actually kickstart the housing sector in Nigeria. 10,000 application forms were sent out in November. 66,000 people applied. Power. I can begin to go on about the success of this government in power. Now, you may say it has not translated to 24 hours electricity. Yes, because it takes $1 million to generate 1 single megawatt of electricity. So you may say, how much have we spent? What we have spent on power is just a drop in the mighty ocean. But so much achievement has been made, power plants that have been started and commissioned, PHCN, that a lot of governments were not able to successfully unbundle, was successfully unbundled by President Jonathan. Education, 12 new universities all over Nigeria. Employing people are not ghosts. There are new people there are people who have access to education. Entertainment industry. I went to Nexim with a client of mine to be able to access the 200 billion entertainment fund, and it will interest you to know that Dr. Bello, the popular film, was financed through the CBN President Jonathan initiative. You see a lot of cinemas all over. There are 2 cinemas or 3 or so now in Ibadan. They are through Nexim, I can confirm to you. Gender-friendly government. President Jonathan is the first Nigerian president to appoint a female justice as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. This same president is the first Nigerian president to appoint a female justice as the president of the Court of Appeal. He's also the first Nigerian president to appoint a woman as the Director General of the Security and Exchange Commission. He's the first Nigerian president to appoint a woman as the first female minister of petroleum. He has now made it possible for the first time ever for women to be directly admitted to the Nigerian Defense Academy. For the first time ever. For the first time ever. 60% of the 220 billion MSMED funds are reserved for women. And one of the second UN contest was only reserved for female entrepreneurs. Infrastructure, I've spoken about this. Now, security is a major issue. A lot of people say the president has failed on security, but I differ. Boko Haram is the second largest terrorist group in the world after ISIS. But ISIS is being confronted by 62 nations, including the United States, and yet ISIS is not defeated. So it is not an issue that President Jonathan has failed on security. It is an issue that is a collective responsibility of everybody that has to fight terrorism. Corruption. IPPIs identified over 48 ghost workers, and we have saved about 139 billion. That's what CNN Money said 2 days ago. Conclusion. Under President Jonathan, life expectancy has improved from 47 in 1985 to 54 in 2014. The Human Development Index in 1985 was 0.421. In fact, Nigeria was second from last at the bottom of the table. It was 0.492 in 2011, and it was 0.504 in 2013. Figures don't lie. Infant mortality rate in 1985 was 125.3 per thousand. In 2015, it is 76.3. Facts and figures. In North Central alone, enrollment in primary school increased by 29%, GSS by 35%, pre-primary enrollment by 113% between 2008 and 2012. Figures don't lie. So he has been criticized. A lot of people say he's clueless. I round up. But I want to say it is not the critic who counts. Not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marked by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who helps and comes up short and short again. Because there is no effort without error or shortcoming. But who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself for a worthy cause, who are the best, knows in the end the triumph of great achievements, and who are the worst if he fails. At least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who knew neither victory nor defeat. President Jonathan has done so well, and he has a strong desire to continue to do better. And when you desire, you aspire. Even when you perspire, you don't retire, but you refire until you have acquired. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that riveting presentation. I dare say that you have, to a large extent, justified this gathering to present to us information that we might not have bothered to search out. Now, without any further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Demola Adewusi to present his position on Muhammad Buhari.
Thank you, sir. All right, while they set me up, my name is Ademola Adewusi. I'm a management consultant. I want to thank everybody who's been part of organizing this and our guests for coming. Let me quickly give you a roadmap of what I'm going to do. I'm quickly going to talk about the distance between figures and truth, because knowing what bio is, he's my friend and a banker, and he was going to come here with a lot of figures, but gloss over education and security. And I knew that. So, and the distance between figures and truth is reality. And that's where I want you to stay. Because I'm going to be asking you questions about your reality. Is this your reality? So I will talk about the sins of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan a bit. I don't mean his sins, but what is done so far. And then I'll talk about Muhammad Buhari shortly. And then I'll tell you to correct your thumb so that you are ready for February 14th. Quickly, let's look at what Thomas Sowell said. He said, no one will understand politics until you understand that politicians are not trying to solve our problems. They are trying to solve their own problems, of which getting elected and re-elected are number one and number two. Whatever is number three is distant. And that is exactly what is going on between Nigeria and Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. How many of you saw this advert that Nigeria was going to get fresh air? Is that your reality? I'm going to keep asking you that same question as I go ahead. Let's go on. This is what Goodluck Ebele Jonathan told us when he wanted us to elect him. I'm just going to read one part. And that was the part that resonated with everybody. In my early days, I had no shoes, no school bags. I carried my books in my hands, but never despaired. You know, it was a fairy tale story. In fact, the song that keeps resonating in my mind is, everybody want good luck, oh. Nobody want bad luck, oh. Do you remember that song? Well, let's go ahead. I'll tell you whether that song still holds. It was so bad that other people had to talk on his behalf, and he failed to show up in any of the debates, meaning that a lot of us could not question his principles, his values, what he stood for, what he didn't stand for. We just voted with a wave of sympathy. We voted because we thought because he had been, mishandled, mistreated, maltreated by the cabal that didn't want him to be president, and we voted for him. Everybody said they wanted Goodluck. Fine, and we got Goodluck. Let's go ahead. Do you know that Nigeria's total crude oil sales under Jonathan Goodluck is far more than all the other presidents we've had since Obasanjo together? Do you know? So when he promised us transformation, we believed him. let me show you that in graphs, because I know that Bayo was going to come here with figures, and I came with figures. If you look on your left here, you see what he has done in terms of revenue. As if his name was on his, on his case, he actually had good luck in the price of crude oil. It sold for an average of $85. What we have done with that, I will show you. Now, this was his promise. He said, our country is at the threshold of a new era, an era that beckons for a new kind of leadership, a leadership that is uncontaminated by the prejudice of the past, a leadership committed to change, a leadership that reinvents government to solve the everyday problems that confront the average Nigerian. Have your everyday problems been solved? Because I'm going to keep asking you. So we were promised transformation agenda. Let me skip this so I can go ahead. So I'm going to ask, now this is what President Obama says when he's talking about leadership and government. He says, if the people cannot trust their government to do the job for which it exists, to protect them and to promote their common welfare, all else is lost. And that's why Bayo put security at the tail end of his presentation, because he knows it's a sore point, and I'll still come there later. Now let's do this. Insecurity. We have an ineffective police force that cannot police Nigeria. We have comatose EFCC. The army is compromised. We have assassinations and violence, and nothing happens when all of this happens. Now, this is the CEO of Nigeria Incorporated, the president of Nigeria, and the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And he says, no part of Nigeria is safe. So it means here you are not safe. It means after February 15th, if you vote for Goodluck Jonathan, you will not be safe. Now, is that a nice state to be in? You should be angry about it. When your president comes out and says, you are not safe. Now, that is bad, but this is worse. The president says, Boko Haram restricts my movement. He says places it should have been. It couldn't go there because of Boko Haram. And you know, this is the current reality in northern states. Have you seen this? And should we vote the same man? Now, let's go ahead. Look at our territorial integrity. This is a CEC in an armored personnel carrier. It's the same man, but let's look at a map just showing you where bombs have what? Erupted all over Nigeria. Abuja. I mean, look at it. Do you know that when I look at Fayose, who calls himself a governor in Ekiti State, I laugh. Because actually, there is another governor that we don't even address as a governor. Shekau, the head of Boko Haram, is a governor. He has more local governments under his command than the governor of Ekiti State. The governor of Ekiti State has 16, he has 23. So I'm surprised that, you know, the lunatic that is Ibrahim Shekau does not address himself as the lunacy or his excellency. And we have a commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And this is a cartoon that really talks about it. Anywhere something happens, every time something happens, Jonathan vows to deal with Boko Haram. And that, this very brilliant cartoon shows him saying, stop that. I condemn it. And you are ceding part of our territory to those people. And let me tell you, Nigeria has spent over 1 trillion naira on the defense budget in the past 4 years. And still, we have not won the battle against Boko Haram, who are a ragtag force. So let's move on. Now, other issues. Is our president powerless? You know why I'm standing here and talking about security for a long time? Without security, every other thing is lost. Once your life is not secure, I can't talk about education. Children cannot go to school. But let's move ahead. If Shekau asks you to stay at home tomorrow, and President Goodluck Jonathan asks you to resume in Sokoto, would you go to Sokoto tomorrow? So what are we talking about when we say, now let's look at economics now. Yaradua, oil sold at $30 on average while he was there. Jonathan had $80. External reserve was 65 billion. Under Jonathan, it's come down to 34 billion. Excess crude oil account under Yaradua was 30. It has come down to 4.1 billion. Our debt profile under Yaradua was $4 billion because you remember Obasanjo paid it, remember? And now under Goodluck Jonathan, it is 66 billion. You know? Now, you remember that Yaradua reversed the price of fuel, right? PMS. Do you know he took it up again to 97? Now, do you know that Nigeria's current budget in 2015, we're going to use 21% of it to service basic debt. If you add that 21% to the 12% that is going to be eaten by the government itself, 33% of our budget is going for non-productive things. Let me also tell you that the 2015 budget has 91% recurrent expenditure and only 9% capital expenditure. Are you angry yet? You should be angry. Index Mundi says 63% of Nigerians still live in extreme poverty. There is 23% unemployment rate. The GDP is 2,300 per capita, but that's if you add the money of Dangote and Alakija and then divide it by all of us, which is not a good way to find, GDP per capita. Government consumption is 12%. If you add it plus 21% for debt servicing, 33% of our budget for this year is gone. The current reality is that the government is broke. Yes, as civil servants, in the budget this year, I can just go, I will show you a bit. There is 862 million for what? For the State House to be rehabilitated. Last year in 2014, there was 2.6 billion to rehabilitate the same State House. In this year's budget, there is 4 billion to feed in the State House. This year's budget, there is 174 million for kitchen equipment. I happen to work for USC Foods. Do you want to start a food processing company? There is even 54 million naira for cutlery. Cutlery. Should I continue? When they were going to announce austerity measure, it was a concert. How dare you announce austerity measures and it was a concert? Okonjo-Iweala said the country was facing a challenging time because of the developments in the global economy, adding that this had necessitated the need for additional austerity measure. But look at the first paragraph. The concert-style event had in attendance celebrities like praise. What are we talking about? We're in a country, this is the president's mindset. And he said it himself. He said Nigeria is not a poor country. Nigerians are most traveled people. There is no country you go that you will not see Nigerians. That's not what I'm going to read the next two. I visited Kenya recently on a state visit, and there was a program for Nigeria and Kenyan businessmen to interact, and the number of private jets that landed in Nairobi that day was a subject of discussion in Kenyan media. If you talk about ownership of private jets, Nigeria will be among the first 10 countries. Yet, they are saying that Nigeria is among the 5 poorest nations in the world. The challenge of the country is not poverty, but redistribution of wealth. Is that the president that Nigeria deserves? When he says, because other people have, show me your own private jet. How many of you came here on a private jet? It means he's not your president. Now let's look at corruption. It's mind-boggling when they start talking about the amount of money that is lost. 5.1 trillion naira stolen under Jonathan. And that was even in one ministry. You need to talk about the fact that the corruption is so bad that the president looked at it and said, stealing is not corruption. It was so bad that he said, look, the Nigerian police pension scheme, somebody stole 23 billion, he was charged to court, and he was given 2-year jail sentence or a fine of 750,000. You know what happened? He paid the fine and walked scot-free. Do you know the presidency did not even say that he should appeal? The state never appealed. And we went on like that. Let's move. We said to people, go and sin no more. And we move around. Tambuwal currently said, he supports corruption. EFCC and ICPC, nothing is happening. Now, this is him saying it. I like this picture. Stealing is not corruption. Why? You must steal enough to be able to go scot-free. But if you steal a tuber of yam, we'll send you to jail for 2 years. Let's move on. Just donate to a campaign thing and then you go ahead. His values tell you about his leadership style. He went to Enugu to campaign and said, how much did Jimu Obodo stole? I forgive the grammar. But he said, money not up to the price of a Pojo car. And Buhari regime sent him to jail. Is that good enough? Should we not condemn stealing if it is a pin or... Is that your president? No statistic can tell you that corruption has reduced in this country. Now, why am I staying on corruption? Nigeria is like a basket. no matter the amount of initiatives, projects, capital or expenditure that you put in it, once that basket still leaks, there is no hope. And that's why I'm saying to you, you have to press the reset button. When some things happen, you don't keep filling in with the same application. You do what? You terminate that application and go back to default setting. And Buhari is my reset button. And that's why I'm saying this. Let's move ahead. How many of you know this statement that America will know? That if you steal money, America will know. I have a South African friend who says to me all the time in a South African dialect, I'm going to try to imitate. He says, the mullah, you guys in Nigeria, how come you voted somebody who says that America will know everything about your country? You mean if you steal money, America will? It means nothing in your country is secret. But look at the logic. If you steal anything, America will know. I'm not going to talk about this because a lot of resources are allocated in lopsided manner because of shady dealings. In fact, the problem we're in with Boko Haram is because of graft and corruption. And I will link it later, and I'm sure Bayo will lead me there one way or the other. How many of you remember Bring Back Our Girls? The president did not even How many of you here are parents? Can I see your hand in the air if you're a parent? I have 2 girls. Nobody can take them away from me. The president bungled this and did not do anything until the international community started haggling him about it. Would you like that to be your president? That was a matter of life and death. And the president of Nigeria stayed on the side of caution. He even said, if I go to Chibok, what will happen? They will just kill me. And that is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Now, our national honors. Now, I'm dealing with his values now and principles. So, our national honors are given to dishonorable men. Paradang, the controller of the immigration service, who killed 19 people, 19 youth, because of job interviews. He was given a national honor. Abba Moro, who was the minister for the interior, also got a national honor. 19 people died, nothing happened. Lives, hopes, destinies shattered, and the president of Nigeria was still gracious enough to put a medal of honor on the necks of those people. It is despicable. Very, very despicable. There is impunity. Even when the governors of Nigeria cannot hold their own election, and 16 is greater than 19, and you want that person to be your president, and then the Nigerian police received intelligence report that thugs were coming to the assembly, so they couldn't arrest the thugs, so they locked the gate. So lawmakers who they know, who have police orderlies, had to jump in. Sure pilfering, I call it. Have you seen the impact of Shopee? Well, they painted the third Milan Bridge in Lagos white and green, and they put Shopee on it. That is sure the impact of it. So let's look at health. My time is up now, and I'm going to round up this way. He was saying that the government launched a health insurance scheme. And I say to you, there is no other way to measure the health sector of any nation than to see which hospital the president and his wife attend. May I say to you that in 2013, the president of this very beautiful nation and his wife spent a cumulative of 6 weeks together in German hospitals. That encourages you to visit UCHRB. I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Now, the 2 of them have presented their positions. And I must say, when each of them presents, questions arise in your minds. We are not going to give you the opportunity to ask the questions yet, but we want to give each of them the opportunity to ask questions from each other. There could have been issues that were raised by one speaker that the other would like to challenge. This is the time to do that now. And I must say, this is a period of discussion. This is a period of dialogue between the 2 of you. So please make sure your microphones are both working, and please challenge each other, engage each other. But please, as much as possible, let us retain this as a civic engagement, because we are supposed to be setting examples, and we are supposed to be setting certain standards that we think our nation should be generally aspiring to. I leave it open to the 2 of you, whoever has questions to have the other.
Okay, maybe Demola should go first. All right. while I believe that any general election should be a referendum on the incumbents, I would have actually expected in your presentation to see what Buhari is going to do better. You know? The truth of the matter is, I believe, please, quiet please. The truth of the matter is, I believe that those who can do, those who can't criticize. Those who can do, those who can't criticize. So what actually is Buhari going to do better? I have shown you the traits that are working. I have shown you the Human Development Index that is better. I have shown you that our food imports has reduced by $4 billion over the last 3 years. What exactly will Buhari do better? You have mentioned the issue of debt. The most indebted state in this nation is an APC state, Lagos State, that is owing 350